That will make you Frank Dux.
No. It's Dukes.
In 1988 saw the release of Van Damme's first lead role. After making an impression on the Cannon duo Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus, he was given a starring role in Bloodsport. Prior to the movie, he did some work as a background extra in Breaking, making a tit of himself. Everyone's seen Van Damme dancing kickboxer, it's always embarrassing and funny at the same time. He started getting some attention from his role in No Retreat, No Surrender, playing Ivan the Russian. As you can see from this clip, he is very impressive. I tend to find some of his early work he really shows off his speed and abilities. Once the film was finished, Cannon wasn't impressed with the film at all, and they thought it was bad even by their standards. The movie was directed by Newt Arnold, who had mostly worked as second unit director and assistant director, and had been involved in many popular films such as Last Action Hero, Godfather Part 2 and Blade Runner. So I was very surprised the movie was directed and edited originally in a very poor way. Maybe the editor Cannon had chosen didn't have the skills to edit fight scenes. Jean-Claude begged Menahem Golan, asking him if he could recut the movie himself. The producer had nothing to lose. Van Damme saved the movie. He obviously knew how the fights were staged, used the coverage that was shot, and made it work. When you watch it, there is a lot of padding to the scenes to drag them out, and some random scenes don't flow very well, but in the end it works. It was finally given a release overseas. In France and parts of Asia it did very well, with its marketing campaign of Van Damme kicking Bolo must have worked, and it really got people into the theatre. After its success overseas, Cannon released it in the States, and Van Damme became a huge star. He was given a 3-picture deal with Cannon when he signed on for Bloodsport, getting paid only $25,000 per picture. After the success of Bloodsport, he still got paid the same for the remaining pictures. Cannon got a sweet deal out of him. The plot of the film revolves around Van Damme's character Frank Dukes, who is a special military commander who is also a top martial artist. He wants to compete in the Kumite in an underground illegal full contact tournament. His motivation is driven by his honour to his sensei who lost his son in the previous Kumite. During the first quarter of the film, you see flashbacks to Van Damme saying he will compete in the competition to honour his master's family. His sensei says no at first, saying he's not Japanese. Eventually you see Van Damme training with him and flashes forward to the present day. He heads to Hong Kong and encounters Jackson, the American boxer. They click straight away and hang out during the film between fights. The current champion of the Kumite is Chong Li, played by Bolo Yeung, who many martial art fans will recognise from Enter the Dragon. Bolo has hardly any lines in the film, and when he does speak they are generally lines taken from other Bruce Lee films, which is obviously thrown in for a joke to the fans, and one of his matches he fights a Bruce Lee lookalike. This is a typical bog standard tournament movie, taking many ideas from Enter the Dragon. What makes this film interesting is its demonstration of different styles of martial arts, from sumo wrestling to Muay Thai. As the film progresses, Van Damme's buddy Jackson gets hurt by Bolo, and he wants revenge. He encounters a reporter who sort of becomes a love interest, urges him to leave the tournament, fearing that he may lose his life. Jean-Claude's character is also being pursued by 2 agents who want him to return to the military base because he escaped to compete in the tournament. You'll notice that one of the agents is Forrest Whitaker. Now, with the film advertising it's based on a real story, supposedly the actual Frank Dukes made a lot of claims about his past, especially about the tournament, Now, he hasn't really been able to come up with any proof that all this took place, and people have doubted his claims. From what I've researched, he is actually a very good martial artist and has worked with the military, but I'm not going to get into a debate about his past and how honest he has been. There was a documentary produced recently called Put Up Your Dukes, which discusses his past and present. I haven't had a chance to see it, but if you have, post a comment and let us know if it's any good. Paul Hertzog, who also went on to compose the music for Van Damme's following film Kickboxer, composed the score to Bloodsport. The music consists of synth compositions and I must say very cheesy power ballads by Stan Bush. The soundtrack became a collectible among soundtrack collectors and sells for a lot on eBay. The composer only really scored a handful of movies and left the industry and is now a teacher of English and music theory. The computer game in the film where Van Damme befriends Jackson, they have a quick game and obviously Van Damme beats him. The game they used was Karate Champ. At the time the game was nearly 4 years old, it was pretty dated by that point. When I first saw it I thought it was IK Plus or possibly Street Fighter 1. At the time when I was watching it, Street Fighter 2 just came out and I was thinking, what does Street Fighter 1 look like? Thinking it was maybe that game. But I was completely wrong, it was Data East's Karate Champ.
Aren't you a little young for full contact?
Aren't you a little old for video games?
There are a number of reasons why this is a huge guilty pleasure and thoroughly entertaining. The soundtrack is incredibly cheesy and awesome at the same time, has a great synth score and over-the-top power ballads thrown in for good measure. It's a great mix to listen to when working out or going for a run. It will get you pumped up and in the mood. Van Damme shows off every one of his abilities to the fullest, does all his famous moves and really provides some enjoyable fight scenes. Being his debut lead role, he had to impress, and he does. The film is so funny intentionally and unintentionally. The bad dialogue and poor performances from some of the extras cracks me up every time. Me and my buddies have watched this movie a number of times for this reason alone. Here are some scenes that always get me laughing.
Jackson, you really going to Hong Kong?
I love anything with full contact. Need a few more scars on my face.
I heard you can get killed at that Kumite.
Only if you fuck up. Hey, you better stop doing that stuff. You might want to have kids one of these days.
Okay, USA. Okay, USA.
He's the American shithead who makes tricks with bricks.
Also, there is one scene that always stands out. There's a guy in a karate outfit who clearly doesn't know how to fight on camera. Check it out, it is so funny. Van Damme has tried to do a remake of Bloodsport for a while and produced a similar film in which he directed in the mid-90s called The Quest, which was met with limited success. I feel he shouldn't really try and remake Bloodsport. The concept of the tournament plotline is very dated. If someone had generally come up with something special for a remake, then do it. I wouldn't want him to do it just to ride on the success of the original. In comparison to Hong Kong cinema, it's very weak. Even at the time you had Jackie Chan just blowing everyone away with Police Story and Armour of God, but Jackie's films were limited theatrically, so Bloodsport would have been exciting to many general moviegoers and gave Van Damme the attention and exposure he needed. It's a film that belongs in everyone's collection if they're a fan of martial art films. But for everyone else, it's bloody hilarious and fun at the same time. So it's a film you have to watch because it's a feel-good movie that will definitely leave you feeling very positive after viewing it.